So my wife very lovingly took my children to a birthday party. I was like, oh, since the kids aren't in the house, let me have a conversation with you guys because I've been wanting to talk about weight and weight loss and everything else, but I am very careful about how I talk about those things in front of my children because I do have kids who are teenagers and we have had many conversations about nutrition and health and the value of a calorie and the value of movement. That's all been covered and we do it in the healthiest way that I possibly can. But what I don't need and what I've worked really hard with is avoiding like certain body types being better than others and like all of that. And so I never want them to hear me talking about my weight struggles and my size and think that I'm talking about something physical and look at themselves or their plate and be critical that in a way that is damaging. So I'm really, really careful to not talk about this stuff too much in front of my kids or where they can hear me, especially if it's not a conversation. Because like I said, the last thing I want is for one of them to kind of catch a snippet of what I said or me talking about my weigh-in in the scale and to kind of give it more credence than it needs in their own life. Okay, but they're not here right now. So let's talk about it. Let's get into it. I think that at the end of last year, I mentioned, or at some point last year, I think I mentioned that I was intermittent fasting. And that was true and kind of fell off the pot. Like it just went nuts. The pot, I don't know. It just went crazy. So that's not, that wasn't how I ended my, well, it is actually how I ended my year, but it's not how I continued my whole entire year. The year was a crazy year as they have been for a while now. Lots of life stuff, but that's not what this is about. This is about weight loss and the journey. And I think that I have found what works for me, and I'm going to get into that. It's basically, if we want to use labels, what I am doing is a combination. I am doing a 1-2 punch of intermittent fasting and ketogenic diet. Bam. So that is where I'm at. But I arrived at this by just kind of listening to my body. When am I hungry? When do I binge? What would work well for that? And I was like, oh, I'm not hungry in the morning. One of my biggest struggles on other diet type plans was the whole breakfast is so important. And I repeatedly would say to Amber, when I eat breakfast, when I eat when I'm not hungry, I feel like I'm reinforcing some behavior in myself that's not a healthy behavior. I don't want to do it and I don't like it. And eating first thing in the morning sets me up for a day where I'm just munching and out of control and I don't feel good. And finally, I was like, throw it away. Just take the whole breakfast in the morning thing and throw the shit out the door, right? Because it doesn't work for me. Okay, great. So there you go. I stopped eating breakfast. By means of elimination, if you're not eating all damn night and you don't eat breakfast, you're going to kind of get yourself into what would be kind of considered a 16-8 split with intermittent fasting. So intermittent fasting protocol 16-8 is where you fast for 16 hours and you are eating for 8. Okay, great. Well, just by like, let's say if you eat, I don't like to eat, I generally do not eat before noon. Let's go noon. If I started eating at like 12:30 because that's when I naturally was hungry and that's when it felt right to have my coffee and start my day, then I would be, and if I stopped eating at 8:30, which is totally fine and actually quite late, you know, lots of people, if they hear you cooking at like 7 p.m., they're like, damn, y'all are eating so late. I'm just saying, so like that's a natural 16-8 intermittent fasting protocol that's just being followed. Well, I was kind of eating around 2 o'clock, having my coffee, eating something, 2 o'clock. Great. I started to look at like, when do I start to get out of control with eating? And that is late in the at night and in the evening. There's a cat moving the table. So with all of that, I kind of put it together and I was like, I feel like I've once I started to think about the intermittent fasting as like this is what I'm going to do. It was probably the end of December and I did it for a couple of days just kind of naturally. And then I was like, well, let me look into this. Let me do some more reading. I've read about it before, but let me do some more reading. And I found a couple of different protocols like OMED, which is 1 meal a day or basically like an hour of eating. But I feel like that was too much. And I also felt like it was maybe giving me an excuse to binge for an hour. And that wouldn't be something that would be healthy for me mentally. And I also felt like, I don't know, like that was too much. So at the same time, the 16-8 seemed like I didn't want to be eating that late. Like if I naturally started eating late in the day, which is what felt right, I didn't want to be eating all night because I know that eating at night is definitely a trigger for me. It's definitely where I start to go, nobody's around. It's just me and the food. I can start again tomorrow. And it kind of turns into an all night binge. So I was like, okay, I'm going to cut it off at 6 o'clock. So 2 to 6 was going to be my eating window. Okay. Eating window. And I just so on December 31st, I made the commitment. I downloaded the app Zero, which is a fast tracking app. And I was like, this is what I'm doing. And I did it. And it just the next day happened and I stuck to it. Awesome. So intermittent fasting is definitely something that I came to just by listening to myself. And that was the first step in this new direction. And I did it for about a week, felt good with it, was doing really well. Got a lot of information from, I want to say, there's a channel I think is called Keto Connects, which is extremely helpful. It's a couple. And then there's another person, and I will look him up while I talk to you because he is awesome. And I hope that he's on here because I liked him. My phone doesn't work, guys. It sucks. Anyway, but I'll find him and I will say, oh man. The other channel is a guy named Fledge Fitness, and I love him. He's got a very soothing voice and a very calm way that I found most motivational and exciting. So I was like, great, these two people, I really have liked them a lot. That's not where I got my only information. Usually after Fledge Fitness puts some information in my mind, I take myself to do my own research and read about it and see how I feel about it. But anyway, so about the second week, I was like noticing that if I ate a lot of carbs, I would feel hungrier. Like my fast was a little bit of a rougher fast and I'd feel hungrier earlier. But if I ate more high fat, healthy fats, avocado, guacamole, those kind of things, with my meat and stuff, I felt really good. So I started to make the effort to end each fast with a meal like that. So if I was going to have carbs, I'd do it a little earlier, but and then if I was like, when it was time to end it, to go like end my eating window and go into a 20-hour fast, I made sure I did it on a meal that had no carbs in it. It wasn't going to make me feel more snacky and more hungry. And I really had a great response to that in my body. So I started to kind of follow that. Now, I have not been strict keto. That's not what happened, but I feel myself going more in that direction. And I think I'm going to challenge myself when this month is over and I've completed the whole month of January, just kind of my real goal. My number one goal when I downloaded the app and set it was to get the month of January done with 20-hour fast. And so far, so good. I've had some rough spots where I've had to readjust my time, but I've always fasted 20 or more hours, never less. So there, I'm really happy about that. And that was my first goal. That was like the only big goal, right? The second major, like small goal, minor goal, I said major, but I meant to say minor. The second minor goal was to stick to an appropriate amount of calories. And I define that not with weight loss calories, but with maintenance calories. Like if you go, okay, how much to maintain this weight, which I don't want to maintain, but just like, I don't want to gain. My biggest thing was I don't want to gain. So what would it be if I was going to max out my calories, but not gain? I took that number and I went under it a little bit and I set my do not go over these calories. Now, to be honest, that's a high number of calories because I weighed at the beginning of this 240.8. Is that right? I can tell you that's right. But it was 240 point something for sure. So it is a high amount of calories. I didn't need to, 240.8. I didn't so it's still a lot of calories. And the honest truth about it is to max out that many calories in 4 hours would be kind of nuts. So, but I was like, okay, my number one goal is to stick to my window of fasting. My number two goal is to not go over my calories. Bam, that's it. I'm not giving myself 100 rules. I'm not setting myself up to fail. I am just asking for this. And that has been really good. Then like I said, going into it, I was like, you know what? When I started to go a little more keto, I started feeling better. That's fine. I did that for about a week and a half and was doing great. And then I had a very carby couple of 2 days, so a couple of days. And now I'm back to no carbs. Not no, but like no crazy carbs, like no like bread and no pasta. And I haven't been doing any really carby things at all. So it's been a lot. Like I'm back on it as of yesterday. Yeah. Okay. My hair just got caught on my earring. Okay. So anyway, so I think that going into next month, I'm going to go, okay, let's go keto for a month and see how that goes. Let's do that. That's the challenge, of the month. So anyway, it has been about 28. So today, when I started that fast, I am starting my 28th fast consecutively. I am starting my, so I'm almost at a month. I weigh in on Mondays. So I weighed in, I think on the 21st. Wait, I'm going to sneeze. Okay, yes, it's it. Excuse me. So I weighed in Monday. That was my last weigh-in day. I want to say that was the 20th. Yeah. So about 21 days. And at that point, I had lost 14 pounds. 14 pounds for 3 weeks worth of just following along and just doing my fasting and semi-keto. Now, that's amazing. And I'm really excited. And on top of that, there's been no exercise of note. And I will get into that. In fact, I think I'm going to record that video next. And so I'll look just like this, but got to take advantage of the time that I have with you guys. Anyway, so there's been no exercise. There's been no real change. There's been a giant change. Hold on. There's been no exercise. The big change, the biggest changes that have happened this year are, number one, water. I have drank adequate amounts of water 90% of this month so far. And I have to say that I wasn't getting I used to have a great relationship drinking my water, and then that kind of fell apart. And once my brother died, I am not lying to you when I tell you for months, the only thing I drank was coffee. And also that's when I went back to drinking sodas. I hadn't drank carbonation or anything since 2009, I think it was. And I did all of that. It was like everything just went out the window. So I have been struggling to get back into a good relationship drinking water. And this month, I finally did it. I am drinking my water. I'm tracking it on my little Fitbit. I love entering my water. And I am drinking water. And the other major change is that I have been intermittent fasting for 20 hours and eating only for 4. Those are the 2 biggest changes this month, and I have lost 14 pounds. So I am excited to keep going. I'm going to weigh in again on Monday. I probably won't do a video about it just because Monday is literally 2 days away, so it's not that big of a deal. But I am going to weigh in, because I weigh in on Mondays, so I'm going to weigh in on Monday because that's my day. But I'm also going to do a final weight for January, which will double as my starting weight for February. Go figure. But anyway, and I'll probably do an update then, like a 1 week, a 1 month complete update on everything. And then I'll go into what I'm taking with me from this month and what I'm doing next month to build with it. And that's where I'm at. And this is the journey I'm on. And I'm excited to be back. It's a little bit weird. It's like when you have a good friend who you haven't called in a while and you've been wanting to call them, but where do you even start and how do you even do it? And often I'm like, I really want to make a video, but there's not enough time to really cover everything. And I know I just got to get in here and do it. So here I am doing it. But I am really excited and I hope to connect. I hope to connect with all of my old friends here, but also make some new ones. I want to find people on their journey. I want to be with people on their journey. I want people on my journey with me. I know how much easier and happier and more together I felt when I had a community, and I really am trying to find that again. So reach out if you're new, if you have a channel and you are looking for people to connect with. I'm totally into it. Let's do it. And I look forward to talking to you guys again very, very soon. Okay,